my goal in life, because I think you've probably got to have one. My goal in life is to fish 20,000 days. 20,000 days, that would be, you can imagine fishing 300 days a year over 70 years. You would just pass 20,000 days. I'm about halfway there, not quite halfway there yet. But anyway, I fish more than 300 days a year. I fish most of them actually. So this year I only just got over 300, so it's a pretty slow year for me. And I'm fishing now. Currently looking for fish. I got lucky actually. I started fishing, fly fishing at the age of 10, given fly rod. I'd already been fishing by then, of course. Started with a net and moved to spinners and bait and so on. And I grew up fishing the reservoirs in England. At the age of 15, I got a job in the fishing lodge. Went to university, dropped out twice. Dropped out at the beginning of April, which is when the trout season starts in the UK, and I figured unless they close the trout season all year or 5 years, I'm never going to finish university. So I just left and got a backpack and went off to New Zealand for 6 months, and I liked that so much I kept going back, and I went there for almost 20 years. I had 18 summers in New Zealand. Became a real home for me. I figured out after about 15 years of fishing every day on a certain type of water, you're still learning, but you're not learning as much anymore because you've learned probably most of it. But then it's great in fishing because you can just change and do a different type of fishing. So I lived in the mountains of New Zealand and backpacking and camping and like a Boy Scout, and then I moved. I was looking for somewhere else. I spent quite a few years looking for somewhere else actually, and spent a bit of time in the States, Canada. It's very similar in some ways to New Zealand, and it's just not as good fishing wise for trout fishing. And I'd just done enough trout fishing, so I started looking for something else. I looked in Eastern Europe. I thought I was going to get into ash and some of the warm water fish there. Living in Europe, well, it's nice, but it's not exactly living outdoors, and it's not that wild anymore in most of the places. There's still some wilderness, of course. It's all a bit contained. So anyway, I found I ended up coming out here to Malaysia. I was actually cycling around Australia at the time, and I was asked to come over here and examine some people and fly casting instructors, and they took us fishing in a part of Malaysia for snakehead, and I really got a kick out of that. Came back again about 4 months later because they asked me to do a casting presentation at a conclave. Took us fishing again, and I thought, well, this fishing is very different to everything I've done, and it really quite inspiring because the shots are 1-2 second shots that you get. You've got to put the fly, you've got to be accurate, and it just really appealed to me because I spent quite a lot of time casting and learning casting to quite a high standard, and all of a sudden there are a few places where you need to cast well. This is one. I think it's probably the hardest. Another one is saltwater fly fishing. You're out there in the flats. You need pretty accurate, fast shots. You've got to be able to deal with the wind. That's quite challenging. I think this is probably more challenging. I haven't spent a great deal of time on the salt, but I will. Plan is after I've done my stint here, which will be about halfway through it. I reckon it's 3,000 days. I've done about 1,500 here. Once I've done 3,000 here, in about another 5 years, then I'm going to buy a sailing boat and sail around the world and do that for 15 years or so. Looking forward to that. It's quite nice. nice. This is a river mouth here. I heard a tiger up here one morning. We still have tigers here. There's about well, the numbers have taken a bit of a hit recently. There's about 23, 24 tigers left. They haven't lost any tigers in about 9 months, I don't think. There was quite a lot of poaching here at one point, but they seem to have knocked them out. That may actually be babies up here. When I first came, about 4 years ago, I was talking to the tiger guy, and there was about 43 tigers then. And they lost, God, must have lost 20 of them. It just baffles me. I just don't understand how people can do that. It's always very nice moving around the jungle, I have to say. Very young. See the red? So we've come across a set of very young babies here while shooting down the lake, coming out from the bank. There they are. Long shot. Oh, he's bit me off. How the hell did that bite me off? How did that happen? Not must have slipped. Oh, it's a good fish. An amateur. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to make a snakehead leader. This is a bit that goes from the fly line to the fly, which I was asked to show. So this is actually 50 pound. What was that? 0.66 mil. So I'll get 5 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, and actually 4 and about 4 feet. Okay. So I'm going to take that 4 feet back, and now we're going to take this point and we're going to double this length. So this was in there's 2 arm lengths of doubled line, and then I've got this 4 feet here, which is going to be my tippet. Okay, now I'm going to get these 2 bits together, and I'm going to put this halfway point, and I put one on one side of the boat and the other on the other. Now what we're going to do here is I'm going to twist these 2 together, and I'm going to turn both. What am I doing here? This is anti-clockwise. Both are anti-clockwise. You could do it clockwise, I suppose. It doesn't make any difference. And I go twisty, 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 and you can see how it's forming doubled up pieces here. And as you twist it, it's going to twist in this side, so you have to sort of undo those twists there. So twist, 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 twist. Do the twists, undo the twists, and you're going to keep doing this. And so you twist it, as you twist it, you gradually feed it in. Now the advantages of this leader, I find, is one of the great things about these twisted leaders is they don't have memory. So when you have them sticking out of the rod tip ring for a period of time while it's hooked over where you're flying in in the boat, and then you undo it, you don't have the same problem that you would have if you had quite a thick butt section here. I used to use 80 pounds and then 40 pounds. This is a much better system. I was shown this from a friend of mine in Singapore. His name is Quek. Q-W-E-K. Obviously W in that case counts as 2 U's. The knot we're going to use to lock this is called the J knot. Quite a simple knot, it's very strong. So, I'm going to make an overhand knot. Yeah. And then you take the other side back through the underneath. Very simple. Yeah. Pick it, and the great thing about this knot is it's pretty damn straight as it comes through here. So, what we've got now, we've got doubled up. This is all doubled, twisted. Yeah, this is all doubled, and then we've got a single section here which is going to be our tippet we tied to the fly. Now what I do with this bit, this is the clever bit now, about 2/3 of the way up twists, I split the twist, okay, so I put a hole in there, and I put the end of the leader here through, and then through that loop I then bring this twisted bit with the tippet. So we've basically gone, put the loop, split the twist, put the loop through, and then through the loop here we've put this. Now what we're going to do now is we're going to gradually feed it up and work it in. So as I do that, this ends up doubling this side. So here, pushing it up. Not quite there yet. I think that's about right. So that's very clever. So now what we've got here, starting from here, we've got a loop at this end of the leader, and we've got four, then it comes to 4 strands all the way through here, goes through 4 strands, and then it goes to 2 strands, and then it comes to 1 strand, and that's all one piece of line. So to finish this off, so I like this to be 10 feet, so that's 6 feet. So make 9, 10 to here, right? Get rid of this last little bit. And then I use £40 wire, £40 knottable wire. This one's actually a Korean make. American fishing wire is very good. This one is a Korean make and very cheap and perfect. What's it called? Can you remember? Yeah, got it here. This Sapolo, and it comes in £40 and it's knottable and it's made in Korea. There you go. South Korea, I imagine. So here we put a loop in here, do an overhand knot. I'm going to do the Slim Beauty, but I don't do the overhand knot once, I do it twice. And you get that. Oh no, that's still only once. Go through twice and you get this. And as you tighten it, it turns into like a figure of 8. I don't think it was it. Did the focus here? Okay. Then I bring this tippet through the top of the figure of 8 and out through the bottom. Now I'm going to go, it's important to keep it like a little between your finger here. You split this line because you've got to go back through this. So I go up once, twice, 3 times, and then back down once, twice, 3 times, and then I go through that little gap there. This. Okay. So I've gone up, I've gone through, made a gap, gone down 3 times, come back over the top 3 times and through the gap that I've made. Lick it, and then just pull this part like this, whack. There we go. Fantastic knot. And then I put a lefty knot to attach the fly. So this is what we've got here. Now it may seem like a bit of an overkill, but believe me, if you've got a 5 or a 10 kilo snakehead taking you into the stumps. Oh, it's broken. What happened?
Not broken.
It's recovered. It's not working. I wonder where it got to.
Is it? I don't know.
Yeah, it's not recording there.
How do you do that?
Pairing file. I don't know how it does it on its own.
Off and on again?
No. Let it repair its file. Yeah. Oh. No, maybe it's just you touch the button. Okay, so let me just finish this. So what we've got here then, we've got this twisted leader. We've got a section here just about long enough of wire. Then we've got 40 pounds. It says 50 on the packet, it's really 40, and then twisted, doubled, and then this. And so there's 2 great advantages. One is it doesn't have memory, and the second is it really turns over very nicely through the ear, especially when you've got a fly on the end. Bang. So I've been talking a fair bit about torque twist on Sexyloops recently. Torque twist is this method of stopping the rod instead of this abrupt stop. I'm actually twisting the rod handle through its own axis. And I had a revelation today, a realization. We've been talking a little bit about what it is, but sort of a form of pullback. But if you actually look at this, just come in here, Ashley. If I turn this hand, you can see how the rod butt actually lifts upwards. Okay, so if I just turn the axis around my thumb, that lifts the rod. So it is actually a form of pullback, apart from whatever else you do. It is a form of reversed torque. And I want to show it to you a little bit about what you can actually do here. And this is my gourami outfit. Now gourami, they like to hear the fly land, particularly if there's a lot of flies around. It kind of brings their attention to it. It shouldn't come down too hard, but it should come down with enough, like the wings were flapping, as it were. And with this torque twist, as long as you've got you need a high back cast, you need to all shoot a trajectory. But with this twist here, I can actually always put that fly down so the fly lands first. I'll do a longer, and a longer shot too. See how the fly lands here? I've got 3 leaves there. I don't know if you can see the leaves. I'll hit that middle one there. There we go. Actually hit it. So there you go. That's one use of this torque twist. It actually puts that fly down first, brings the attention to it.